Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to our continued production of United Rogue Rocket League. We've got one more match to round out the group stage of the United Rogue Season 17 playoffs, and we once again shift our attention to the Noodle Cup series. And the name of the game today so far has been implications as we move into the bracket stage and finalizing everything that needs to happen in order for that to take place. And between these two teams, one of them's got a chance to control their own destiny and kind of force things to go their way. The other team, they can play a little bit of a spoiler, kind of like what we had in the prior series.
It's getting a little bit odd that everything seems to be lining up the same. I don't know if like Alex just hasn't tweaked the script yet or what, but regardless, it looks like Phoenix has the opportunity, eerily similar to earlier, to cause a tiebreaker if they sweep this Carolina team. And we have a player who has been dominating the stats from the Phoenix perspective that I think, Pi, that you and I are both going to keep an eye on. And meanwhile, like you said, Carolina, they just have the opportunity to play the spoiler. They can kick Phoenix out of the playoffs right now.
They could do so, and they may be primed and set for an upset. They were already talking about it in the pregame chat how they're going to pre-jump everything Bulls, with an example of that already out of the way. HX Script trying to do a similar side on the return. NK looking to start things off for Carolina. Phoenix, I think they're going to play a little bit more grounded, maybe a little bit more of your standard Rocket League game type, especially as everything comes down to if they have to do things by the book in order to move on in the playoff rounds. Game Buster down to Infinite towards the backboard. It's defended by NK. We'll send it right back out to midfield.
For this game, for me, I'm really going to keep an eye from the Carolina perspective on NK for this team. A well-known player. He's been in NCS for a while. I think most players know him. Very solid, very consistent. And then on the side of Phoenix, really going to keep an eye out on Caden, of course, with the addition of 170s to Noodle Cup series, it kind of opened the door for a little bit of higher level gameplay. Ramen Bowl players, used to have 170. I really like to see those two matched up against each other, which kind of ironic that we have two Lightning McQueen cars in here, something I have yet to see so far in playoff action. But early on, both teams testing the waters, so to speak, on the offensive defensive half. And speaking of, NK gets his team on the board.
And sometimes it's just those kinds of moves that get you in the position that you need to be in order to capitalize on it. The ball just pops right out to NK. The quick turn in that Lightning McQueen car forces the ball right where it needs to be. Carolina gets on the board first. Not a good look for Phoenix, although they've got a lot of time remaining in game number one with which to rectify this 1-goal deficit. We talked about Caden in the opener. That's pretty much been doing a lot of things for this Phoenix team. They've got the most goals, 69 on the season for them. But on the defensive side, Infinite, 96 saves. So really stalwart on the back end, even though they've already given up the opener to this Carolina team. Game Buster across has kind of filled in for this team. It's really been dominated between Infinite and Caden in terms of their lineup so far across the regular season, and both Moki and Game Buster have filled in when needed. So it's going to come down to, can the top players for Phoenix produce at the level that they need to in order to produce the result? You get Infinite with Musty Flick towards the backboard and almost an attempt at the net for Phoenix, so it gets sent down the other way, and Script trying to center it for NK again on the doorstep, but they're denied by Caden.
It almost kind of seems like Game Buster's taking a support type of approach, just letting Infinite and Caden work, but not working out there was that touch. And it really looks like Phoenix is kind of a little loose, a little unsettled, maybe a little panicky on their touches. They don't seem like they've really settled in, but meanwhile, Carolina kind of looks like they're just having fun almost. I mean, they don't really have a lot to play for, quote unquote, here in this situation. Coming out, they've seen a lot more confident on the ball, pass attempts. I mean, NK is pre-jumping off the backboard there, as they said they would be doing pregame, and wary team pinch there on the side. But Phoenix really has not had a lot going in terms of offense. Just been a lot of kind of lackadaisical clears, trying to get the ball out of their half, looking for boost, and not really any dangerous opportunities so far. A lot of solid defense from this Carolina team as they hold on to this 1-goal lead approaching 90 seconds.
Just 3 total shots so far for Phoenix, and it's something they're going to have to address in the closing moments of this game number 1. Caden with a 1v1 against NK. They've got an option on Game Buster towards the side. It will be just too far outside the frame of net. The team play coming through, going coast to coast. A little bit better in developmental so far from Phoenix. Caden sending it again towards the net, but HX Script will say no. Continuation play will force Game Buster to make a touch. Script will grab that 100 pad away from the Phoenix defense, and the boost totals going in favor of Carolina as they continue their attack. Script with a miss, though. Game Buster not a lot in the tank. We'll see what they can do with it. Trying to force it to a teammate, but NK gets behind everybody. They can only do so much, as that ball will float harmlessly down and away.
Approaching 30 seconds left, and Phoenix kind of desperately needing a goal now. I love the solo play earlier from Caden that turned into a pass. Really need to see that more from them if they really want to get this going here in this last 20 seconds. Caden trying to get work, but NK is just all over the ball right now, off the backboard, taking time, looking for the edge of a bump. It's open in the net. No, Caden recovers. Flick over 1. HX Script. Awkward. 8 seconds to go here. The redeflect. Infinite. A quick shot on net. NK, you got it. You have the save. 3 seconds. Phoenix clinging for anything, and they can't get it to go. And just like that, Carolina plays spoiler.
Man, it's always so difficult in these you have to win out scenarios for the team that has to do that, because you know, just like one slip up in any of these 3 games just leads to your chances being absolutely diminished. And all it took was just 1 defensive lapse on behalf of Phoenix. And that's the game. That's the story, really. In Carolina, like you said, playing spoiler for the playoff chances for Phoenix. Now we've got the rest of the series to play out as well, right? But man, it doesn't get a lot closer than that, especially between these 2 teams. Pretty evenly matched, as you can see from the advanced statistics at the bottom of the screen. Carolina just got 1 goal to go through, and that's the difference.
And I think it's crazy that we've seen this situation happen twice today, and both times immediately it just got blown out the water. Other team won the game to clear that chance. But I mean, like you said, it's still not over. We still have a series to play, but the chances of moving on out of the group stage for Phoenix is now unfortunately not an option. But still going to have a chance to show out form, get some good Rocket League going here, we hope, in this Noodle Cup series. And starting off early, we are headed into this Phoenix half yet again. Carolina has just kind of been making their way with everything. Here's a counterattack opportunity. Caden, a lot of time, a lot of boost, gets the flip, maybe not, nothing happened, or elected to not use it. NK dangerous on the counter, fakes the breezy attempt, goes for the low 50, but Infinite solid on that defensive line.
Yeah, Philadelphia and Santa Fe both breathing, I think, deep sighs of relief after that Game 1 result. And NK trying to make Carolina on top, and they will do so, and perhaps with an opportunity. I know it's still pretty early, but we were talking about Phoenix having to sweep in order to advance, but it may go the entire opposite way. Carolina looking pretty good in Game 2.
Yeah, just an awkward mistouch there from Game Buster. I think it might have been a miscommunication there with Infinite, just ended up hitting it around their teammate. Very unfortunate. And a player of NK's caliber is always going to take advantage of that. And still, this entire Carolina team, you know, I'm almost to say a bit shocked that they didn't win anything from groups because of how solid they're performing right now. They look well run. They look like their chemistry is flowing. They're organized. But like I said earlier in the broadcast, it's playoffs. You just never know what you're going to get on any given day. Still, though, Phoenix trying to find that scoreboard. And right now, they are just getting pounded on the defensive end.
Caden, with a little bit of assistance from the smoke screen as Bulls took one of their teammates off the field. Infinite will be respawning, and they'll have to make this save. They will not be able to do so as it goes underneath their car. Script gets the second on the board for Carolina after a little bit of help from the physical play and also the demolitions as well, and the misplay, not misplay, but misdirection from NK. on the sidewall as well, just making things absolutely miserable than trying to read the offense from the defensive perspective of Phoenix. And so far, in 7.5 minutes, they haven't been able to put a goal on the board, and they've really been stuck in their own end. They can't get out of it as Carolina continues to put the ball in.
NK is just being a dominant presence on the field, but this time it's HX Script, just a nice 50 over to Bulls. You don't really see a lot of lopsided 50-50s with the dominance like that, and just absolutely strong through. And this Phoenix team, they just kind of look like they're way too grouped together. The rotations don't really seem there. It's like there's always one or two players too close to each other. NK trying to put a fourth one on the board, simply disrespect at this point with how much he's all over the field. But 3 minutes left to go is plenty of time to generate offense. Buster taking it back to the backboard. NK is still pre-jumping, but unable to get anything to fruition there. Nice fake from Caden. 1v1 opportunity, low 50, denied again on the goal line. This Carolina defense is not falling for any of these trickery plays that Phoenix is throwing out.
We've seen a couple times where it's been isolated to a 1v1 with one player back for Carolina, and every time they've been equal to the task, able to shut out this Phoenix offense at every turn and really just be able to turn it around and generate offense of their own as Bulls sends it ringing across the corner. NK will take the boost and turn on the ball as well. Just like you said, being an absolute nuisance, and not only the pre-jumps, but the positioning as well to just try and interfere with this Phoenix clearance as often as they can. They're on the ball once again, trying to go towards the backboard. They want that double tap, but intercepted by Infinite on the backside. They really can't, struggling to get across the midfield stripe as nobody's able to make contact numerous times with this ball. Eventually, it will get forced towards the corner for Phoenix, but it's a one and done opportunity. And with that demolition that occurred, they're going to have to try again.
It almost kind of leaves you scratching your head that this Phoenix team that performed well during the regular season gets put into what you would consider a very strong group stage, but has not really had a single performance to back it up. You thought until they played Philadelphia, who is arguably one of the strongest teams, and to have them turn around and play what just seems like such sloppy Rocket League against this Carolina team, you begin to wonder, okay, how much of this is Carolina being good and how much of this is Phoenix struggling to adapt what they had in the Philadelphia series.
There you go. Finally, it took a while to get here, right? It's almost almost 9 minutes of Rocket League gameplay, and finally Phoenix is able to put one on the board. But to your point, it's not like Carolina is a horrible team either. I mean, they come out in Noodle Cup series. They're the third seed in the East. And honestly, I think they had probably higher hopes out of this group stage than probably anybody else in their group, but the results haven't quite gone their way. And I think based off of what you said before, any given day, the team that shows up is going to be the team that has an opportunity to win. And so far, Carolina has been that team. Phoenix has just come out and it's been kind of flat. Their offense hasn't been really all of that, but when you get flying V's in formation, you can just confuse everybody on the defensive end for Carolina. That might be something they have to exploit going forward.
Well, if you don't know what you're doing, chances are your opponent doesn't know what you're doing. And Game Buster looked like he was going to come in and just take a big shot and just completely unraveled the defense, electing to leave the ball. Infinite getting that musty flick. So now a little bit of life for this Phoenix team that I was criticizing. Now on their offensive side, they managed to put 2 goals up, approaching this 30-second mark. Bulls off the corner, looking to generate this nail in the coffin for their team. A nice air dribble to just waste time off that clock. The higher in the air you are, the more that clock ticks. Off the ceiling, Caden gets a nice 50 down to Infinite off the sidewall to themselves. Low boost, trying to get a 50, and NK is just all over that one. Script off the ceiling, time ticking down. Caden pops it up. Bulls unable. Infinite, nice pop to himself, looking for the air dribble all the way through, and Infinite puts in a dagger. We got a tied series.
Oh my goodness. And we were talking about the results, and it seemed like all they needed was one. And then the avalanche would start to fall soon after. And Infinite has put the entire team on their back. That's a hat trick in just about 1 minute and 30 seconds, where it just took them that long to score and get things going together. And for all of the work that Carolina put in the opening part of this game. It's all come back to bite them. We're back to an OT.
Well, we were talking about Infinite's defensive stats and how strong they have been on that line, but he said, don't forget about my offense. Speaking of offense, NK, a wonderful play there by that team trying to just get a fake in, almost managed to find it through. Kaden on the counterattack, looking to just take this game out of the hands of Utah, or Carolina rather, excuse me, unable to get that through. Bulls, nice 50 across, and Phoenix looking a lot better now in the second half of this game offensively. Oh, but NK pre-jumping again, looking to the backboard. Kaden, a nice recovery to clear that out.
Will stay on the ball until it falls away from them. Bulls with a long shot will be met by Infinite. NK again with the pre-jump. Sends it back towards this Phoenix corner. Gamebuster not able to make contact. Will get bailed out by Infinite. Find the ball on their car once again. NK with full boost. What can they do with it? Trying to put it over Infinite and down underneath the crossbar. It will not happen. All three players for Phoenix commingling to make the save as NK takes one of them off of the field. Looking for the pre-jump from Script. Just a little bit too early on that one, and they earned a lot of boost trying to get to it, and now it will cycle back around as Phoenix again struggling to get out of their own end.
Now getting a little bit awkward on this defensive side. Carolina having a lot of pressure throughout this last minute. Bulls looking to maintain. Doesn't have a lot of boost in the tank, just likes to go for a bump. Hayden slowing things down. Seems to be where they work the best, just taking time. You don't want to take too much time because 3v3 is still very fast-paced. Infinite securing the corner boost. Bulls going to immediately challenge. Carolina, I think they kind of understood that Phoenix is a very mechanically talented team. They seem to like to take a lot of time in the air, and they are just not giving them any breathing room whatsoever. If there's any sort of air dribble attempt, any sort of attempt to get anything off the ceiling, they are just immediately challenging that. And I think that's the way you have to play against a mechanically gifted team. But still, 2 minutes to go, neither team finding the net.
Really, all it takes, like we've seen so far, is one good setup from Phoenix. And Caden, with the breezy opportunity, gets turned aside by NK. This time, they're able to track back and make the save, but already looking like a little bit of spark of life on Gamebuster. They will go off the post and score. And that's the first on the board for Phoenix. They took a long time to get here, but their offense finally came to life, and it's paid dividends in this OT period.
Well, when you expect solo mechanical plays over and over again, you start to play a little bit on tune to that. NK was fully expecting Infinite to just take a 1v1 right there. Instead, elected to go for the infield pass, and oh my dear goodness, look at that stat line. Infinite dropping 9-11, 3 goals, 3 saves. Really wouldn't say one player carries a team in Rocket League, but I think we could say there's an exception for this game.
I mean, their performance in regulation is what allowed Phoenix to be able to be in the position to win the game in OT to begin with. And also that assist at the end of the game as well is what enabled Phoenix to come out of this game with a victory. So all is not lost in terms of, the series that we have in front of us. It's a little bit more competitive now that we've seen Phoenix be able to actually join up with each other and perform on offense. So as we get everybody back into the lobby, it seems like we are having some technical difficulties with one of the game's clients. So we'll have them reset, but we'll continue to talk about everything. I mean, the wild stat we want to focus on at the bottom of the screen, the field domination from Carolina. Somehow they go over 70% and they lose this game. But the ball possession is very much 50-50. So it just seems like there was a lot of time where Carolina was up in Phoenix's end, and Phoenix was just making the most of their counterattack opportunities. And unfortunately, some players are not able to follow directions and well enough, and so we'll have to remake the lobby at this point. But then we'll. Yeah,
love the game of Rocket League, but not all of us were the most great at handling instructions. We're all gamers. We have a little bit of problems there. When mom's yelling at us to get off the game and do homework. But speaking on that stat, it's crazy to look at that Carolina had a 71% field domination. When you look at their demos too, they had 5 demos. Phoenix didn't have a single demo. So like if you just look at that and you're like you didn't watch the game, it's like okay, Carolina won. What are you doing? But I think Phoenix was comfortable on the defensive end. They started to get clean on the backside of the game. First side of the game, they looked really messy, really sloppy. They weren't rotating well. They started securing that. They started getting more counterattacks, and it seemed like they were adjusting to Carolina's play style. And when you adjust to what they're throwing at you, just constantly being on the ball pressure, it's like, okay, I'm not going to go in the air anymore. I'm going to hit this infield pass so we can win the game. That shows you that's what a good team, a good player has an awareness. Being able to adjust in any game is so important. But for Carolina, it's kind of a slap in the face. It's like, wow, we had all this possession, we had all this pressure, and we still lost the game.
Yeah, and I mean, you know that they're kind of coming into this series with like a not quite a mentality of being absolutely laser focused in terms of, oh, this is something that we have to win. They're definitely trying some different things. They're having a little bit of fun with it, but it was still yielding results up until it wasn't, right? And the problem you ran into was the team of Phoenix just decided that, hey, you know what? Yeah, we realized we actually can, play Rocket League. We can join up and we actually can put some offense together. So as we get back into this game, see exactly how everything plays out.
Speaking of joining up, seems like me and Pi are having a little issues joining up right now. But that's okay. It's still on the live screen, starting on early this 30 seconds into the game. And for Carolina's side, I want to see them understand that, no matter how much time of possession you have and field domination you have, you can't put it away. It's not going to mean much here on the counterattacks. But Phoenix starting off, getting a little bit of pressure going on, trying to weave their way through this series, going to get a little bit of advantage from that last game win.
Phoenix holding up in the Carolina end. Caden will try to pinch as it goes across towards NK. Bulls up towards Script, down towards the opposite corner. Now Bulls will be up. Game Buster across will make the save. Trying to play outfield for Infinite, but they didn't have any boost, so they will circle back towards their 100 pad, and it will cost them a little bit as NK just challenges the ball like they've been doing, and like you pointed out last game, where Carolina just electing to make sure that Phoenix has absolutely no space to operate.
I'm not a big fan of the slowing down and trying to take possession of the ball in your half when you're getting unrelenting pressure. There's a lot of possession takes, and speaking of, Bulls just launching a volley onto the net. It's going to get a counterattack, a goal again, just by Phoenix just trying to slow the game down, and Carolina just refuses to let them have any sort of time and space.
And really, if you're going to look at something like that, you got to be aware of how the team is electing to play in front of you. And you can't really have a possessive touch like that if you know that there's nobody over the top, like a safety, to help you in terms of the third man opportunity to kind of prevent that kind of play from happening in the first place. So Phoenix find themselves on the back foot once again, but with a couple goals in under their belt already in this series, now that they've been able to put one on the board, I expect them to recover fairly quickly. The Script able to force things down towards the corner. Caden will touch back down towards Game Buster. They've got Infinite and a 1-2 opportunity, and taking to the air, they get bumped by NK, and Script is able to hold things up relatively well enough for Carolina to cycle back on defense.
And when a team plays so kind of downfield one direction like Carolina is, I think Phoenix was at their best when they were playing side to side, and they're also at their best when they're playing defense. NK basically just walking this one into the net, not really sure what happened, almost a breakdown of the goalie here, just unable to get back in time for that save.
What's really interesting, especially when we get into this series, is just now the variety of vehicles that we have on the field. You've got your Fortnite Battle Bus, you've got the Formula One car, you've got Octanes, you've got Fenix. It's absolutely fantastic to see, especially when we get the variety that we do. In Carolina, it doesn't seem like to matter exactly what car that they're using. They're performing at a pretty high level. Already up 2-0 in this game. They're in danger of making it 3 as NK is just going to force the issue. Infinite The touch towards the side wall wins 150, and they will get the bump on the secondary player, but nobody's there for Phoenix, and fortunately enough for them, Bull's not able to make contact. Otherwise, it could have been another dangerous shot as Caden in that battle bus thought about 50. They weren't really sure where that second player was going to come from and end up losing possession and turning it over.
Now everyone on the field, upfield for Carolina, pass over to HX Script. Now I really have to say, like in my time of commentating on Rocket League, I don't think I've ever seen such a variety of cars selected as the day of Rocket League we've had today. And speaking of, Infinite off the sidewall down to the Fortnite Battle Bus. Game Buster, just a nice angle down the middle. Bull is not enough boost to recover, rather. And Phoenix, every time it seems like they're just starting to slip away, they find a way to bring themselves back into the game.
And maybe after this performance, we could take a little bit of a closer, more critical look at the Fortnite Battle Bus and be wondering itself, why is this not used in the competitive scene a little bit more? It seems like it has all the benefits of the Octane and the Merc as well, and none of really the downsides, other than perhaps it maybe feels like a brick to play in. But NK trying to do a little bit too much, I think, maybe getting a little bit fancy in the Formula One car, but unfortunately it's too narrow to really get back to the ball, and it ends up going into the Carolina net. So for all the flashiness and theatrics that Carolina has elected to play with, Phoenix, they've just been playing pretty good Rocket League so far, and they've been able to battle back.
Yeah, a major concern I had for Phoenix was them just getting a little too comfortable, a little just too sloppy. And now it kind of seems like the opposite. Carolina just gave up two, I wouldn't say free goals, but kind of awkward goals. And speaking of, right as soon as I started talking about Phoenix scoring, NK of all comes off this insane read off the backboard. Game Buster couldn't get it, and that's just beautiful placement there from NK.
They needed every single inch available off of that front wing of that Formula One car to make contact with that. It looked like a little bit of a misread, but fortunately enough for them, the length of their car contributed to being able to recover in time to put that ball on target. So now Carolina has reestablished the lead. Phoenix gone down with 30 seconds left to play, but it's a demolition that might open things up on the back end. But again, it's NK able to push the ball away from danger and allow Carolina to get back on the field defensively. It's a round Game Buster, but unfortunately for Script, they can't make contact, and Infinite will push it away.
13 seconds left here. NK really awkward on that touch. Didn't think he'd get one. Bulls just awkwardly clearing it to the side, able to recover, and NK is on the ball again, trying to get the final goal. Unable to do so. 2 seconds to go. Caden, you have to keep it up. Unable to get the angle. The Fortnite Battle Royale Battle Bus, unable to get it through. Carolina is on the edge of their seats, ready to finish out this series. They've already crushed Phoenix's hopes once, but they'd like to just take away the bragging rights here. Pi, that was definitely one of the games from the series that was just felt all over the place and chaotic.
It certainly was not lacking in action from start to finish, but I mean, we talked about the discrepancy in terms of the field domination and ball possession and whatnot in the previous game. This one was a little bit closer, I would say. It was still kind of up in the air a little bit for Phoenix, I think. They were never really in a solid control of this game. Carolina, it just seemed like no matter what they try, it seems to work out in the end. And sometimes, you know, they just have their day where everything goes their particular way. So it's going to come down to Phoenix, I think. If they're able to establish a multi-goal lead, that's going to be their best bet. The problem so far is that in the first game, they weren't really able to generate a whole lot of offense. In the second one, and really this third game as well, the defense has kind of let them down. So even if they're getting to be in a position where they can kind of control the game, the defense is letting Carolina back into it.
Yeah, it's definitely concerning to say the least. And meanwhile, one of the players in Carolina, NK, is just asking what he should purchase from Wingstop. So it really seems like he's focused hardcore on winning this game. All the gamers love Wingstop. Lemon pepper, you got to go with lemon pepper wings. I think it's just the best option. No offense to our producer or anything. However, still focusing on the series before us early on, and it looks like an open net. I think that was a pre-jump from Carolina. Still, the ball is dangerously floating in front of the net. What in the world is going on in this first 30 seconds?
Chad, if you're not already entertained by what you're seeing on the field, go ahead and drop your go-to Wingstop order in chat. I'm sure NK will take a look at that and make his decision accordingly. But he's also on the field having to play out this series, and if all goes according to plan, he'll be able to order his Wingstop right after the conclusion of this game. Phoenix, I think, will have something to say about that, as they're trying to maintain possession of the ball, but NK going off of the ceiling, down to Bulls, potentially the bounce shot and the follow-on from the drop down. NK doesn't really have a whole lot of thinking to do on this one. We got the wings on the mind. He's like, I'm just trying to get out of here so I can make my order.
Well, when you're hungry, you're not yourself, according to the Snickers commercial. And if that's not NK's self, then, well, you need to be hungry more often, because that was just absolutely disgusting clipping on Phoenix. Just diabolical plays off the ceiling. The first killer classic double tap. And can't really draw it up any better than that. So if Carolina wasn't feeling confident to take this series, now I feel like they got an extra pep in their step. And GameBuster having something to say about it again. This series just back and forth. Every time you think someone grabs the momentum, something else happens. A miss on the back end just sets up the shot from GameBuster, and it's tied yet again.
Man, this series has it all. It's got fantastic mechanical play, and then you have whatever that was, the defensive end for Carolina. But hey, at the end of the day, it's a tie game. Everybody's just trying to have some fun with this series, I think. And you know what? May end up going either way at this point. Bulls trying to get a shot. Didn't quite get fully around it. NK clearing the way after one touch towards the net, but Phoenix will recover. Caden gets it across. GameBuster is lurking, but Caden will take it down towards the opposite corner. That's a heck of a heavy pinch, and NK somehow still ready for it. The team pinch goes down across towards the far side corner for Phoenix. As Bulls will have to end up retreating. They will grab that 100 pad on their way out as well. GameBuster, nobody really in tow, so this attack is going to break down as Caden forces it back towards the Phoenix end of the field.
Yeah, we're seeing kind of a little bit of lapse now. Script trying to get the back pass, unable to get really the greatest touch. It's kind of twice now you've seen that happen, but I've heard a lot of mixed reviews about the Cybertruck's mechanical ability. You know, there's been a lot of reported issues, so I'm sure that's carrying over into Rocket League as well. Caden going for a flip reset in their own corner. Definitely not something you see too often. On the counterattack, still somehow has possession of the ball and gets a flick. That battle bus still proving to be a worthy option for contenders. Bulls taking a 50 off the backboard, looking for the follow-up. A powerful shot again, looking for the double touch, forcing a triple commit. Script, can you get there? Not enough to get really anything pressure from that. NK looking for the follow, but Infinite's there to clear.
Caden has a lot of time, but Bulls will catch back up to him from behind. Had nothing but green grass in front of him and a lot of space to try and make things happen. Unfortunately, gets taken away from them. And Bulls, not enough boost to get back towards that double tap. Infinite, same situation though. All they can do is get one touch and maybe try and follow things up. Caden, again, no boost. NK to the backboard, trying to force the 50 to go through. Bulls putting it back towards the middle. GameBuster again making another save. Pushing it outside the frame of net. The diabolical fake from Script sets up NK towards the backboard, but maybe a little bit too much on their takeoff and not quite able to make the read as they thought they might have been able to do so. It's still all Carolina the last minute and a half or so as Phoenix, they have boost in the tank, but they haven't really been able to make any sort of push outside of their own end.
They've been looking a little bit flustered on the defensive end. Here they have a little bit of a chance now. Bulls kind of awkward, has to pop it up, but of course NK is there to get a touch. Can't get the clear. GameBuster off the ceiling. Likes for the ceiling pinch. A little more power that might have been at least close to going in. NK off the sidewall. One reset, two resets. Couldn't get the second one. That plywood looking plank of a car, just very long and awkward in the air sometimes, getting resets. Still pressure from Carolina. No one is in the net for Phoenix. Still floating out. Infinite. Flick over one. Taking possession. Flick over two. Great opportunity for GameBuster. A quick shot. Bulls is too close. Again, GameBuster with these crazy angles.
You might have thought they were going to go for something a little bit more fancy than that, but you know what? When all else fails, just put the ball right on net, and hey, maybe good things will happen. Bulls just a little bit out of position backwards and facing their own net to be able to try to address that ball to make the save. So with about 30 seconds left to go, it's Carolina off of the kickoff, gonna find the equalizer, and Phoenix, after a lot of hard work to get the go-ahead goal, they just give it right back.
No matter what level of Rocket League you're on, there are still opportunities to have kickoff goals. And that is so apparent here. It is very draining and can be quite exhausting, putting in so much work for a goal, just have it taken away. But such is the essence of the game. Life goes on. 20 seconds to go. Buster has possession. No boost to catch up to. It's going to be a touch to the side for NK. Floating up, anyone there to follow? No. Infinite to the backboard. A redirect mid-air. My goodness gracious. Everything coming out for this team. NK can't get the flick. Buster looking for the play out. Cleared to the side. Caden with the pre-jump. Looking for the pinch. No contact. Ball goes down. And we find ourselves in yet another overtime.
Off of that kickoff, it will not be a direct kickoff goal for Carolina. It's another fake from Script towards over the top of Game Buster. Infinite from their own backboard will slow things down. NK will be able to address this. Bulls, ooh, they pre-jumped. They thought the ball was going to be available for them, but the last second touch from Phoenix directs it away from their vehicle. Now it's Infinite up top. Game Buster's there, but Bulls intercepts before it can get to the backboard. Lack of boost on behalf of Phoenix will mean that they will have to back off and let Carolina come to them. NK across, looking for Script, who had jumped across from the opposite side wall. Bulls takes the ball off the hood of Infinite. Not a lot of boost, so all they can do is really force it middle, and nobody available for Carolina to try and finish things off of, as Phoenix will have the ball in their corner once again.
And we're seeing the pressure ramping up for this Carolina team. Bulls the double tap. Couldn't quite get the angle, but still shows how threatening they are right now. A double commit on the backboard. Gonna clear up some space for Carolina. Lex for the midfield pass, but Caden sniffed that one out completely. Script looking for the redirect off the corner, unable to get it. NK gets a piece. We're seeing still double commits coming out from both of these teams. Oh my goodness. Not the goal I thought could happen. A team pinch with the other team. Manages to hit the crossbar. A sigh of relief for Phoenix, and NK pops it over one. The finish, the miss, Buster going in the net. Caden, the response. What is going on in this game? Someone can't hit the back of the net. It is out, and the game goes on.
Ball just refuses to go into the net. Try as Carolina might. Phoenix hanging on by a thread. NK trying to get it towards Script, who's still in the air, and if they had any more boost, might have tried to make their way over to where that ball was. They will turn on this one and take it towards the sidewall, up and down off of the ceiling. NK, really not a whole lot they can do in that particular position. Bulls will just launch one that goes across the net just wide. And this one's going to be sitting pretty for a return, and somehow it got right back to them. Bulls gets the goal to go through for Carolina, and that is going to be all she wrote.
Well, all over the field, Bulls has just been everywhere, and of course how fitting it is that they were there to finish that one off in a high-paced, high-action, crazy, unexpected result from this series. I mean, it was just back and forth, over and over again. So entertaining. Unfortunately, that does mean that both of these teams, their season has come to a close, but I mean, Pi, I don't think I could have asked for a better way to end my season.
I mean, you talk about 15 shots for Carolina, I think, at the end of that game. So, like you said, absolutely no shortage of entertainment in this series, even though ultimately neither of these teams will be moving on to the bracket stage. But speaking of the bracket stage for the Noodle Cup series, I believe with that result, we now have everything finalized across all four groups. Group A, their representatives are going to be Portland and Baltimore, number 1 and 2 in that group. Group B is going to be Maui and San Diego. Group C is going to be Philadelphia and Santa Fe, and Group D is going to be Chicago and San Antonio. So if you're able to pull up the bracket, you'll be able to see all of these matchups in the quarterfinals as they move towards the bracket stage. So congratulations to everybody who made it out of their groups, but and obviously for making playoffs in and of itself as well. It's indicative of a very successful regular season. So both of these teams, nothing to really be ashamed about. You did make the postseason play, and they really gave it their all, and they gave us something interesting to watch at the conclusion of group play in the Noodle Cup series.
Absolutely. And of course, if anyone is unaware, that means playoffs are switching now to a single elimination bracket. So once you lose once, you're done. You're out. There is no double elim bracket. This is it. This is the top 8 for most of the conferences are finishing up right now. So that means for you sitting at home, we have got plenty of playoff action still coming your way. We're going to do our absolute best and ability to continue to stream these so you guys can watch this high octane action on the streams. And of course, we got to give a big shout out to Berkey, our broadcaster right now, who's running everything, giving us audio and things that we need for this. And Pi, you got anything before we head out?
Just again, congratulations to everybody who made playoffs and who ends up advancing towards the bracket stage after the conclusion of group play today. I think we still got a couple games that are going to be going on as we wrap things up tonight, but all of those results will be posted and available for the upcoming week tomorrow. And we hope to see you right back here next week as we take on the opening matches of our bracket stage. So unfortunately, that's going to do it for us here tonight, but we'll see you next week for more United Rogue Rocket League action in Season 17.